step into the place on an interim basis that's normally held by Dr. S.U.N.Y. So first I'm going to ask for approval of the minutes. Okay, do I have a second? Okay, so the minutes are approved and seconded. So first I want to announce that Dr. S.U.N.Y. has accepted a new position at Downstate and has resigned her position as chair of SUNY Council. She's taking the job of Vice Dean for Global Engagement, clinical professor, and chair of health policy and management in our School of Public Health. So we know she did an excellent job for us as chair, and I know that she'll do an even better job for us in her new position. And our congratulations, and I'm sure that our department will be calling on her frequently to help us in our advancement efforts.
Okay.
I also would like to introduce a new member of SUNY Council, and that's Kimberly Lawton. Did I have your last name correct?
That's fine.
Kimberly is our second student member. She was just appointed, she won the election of her peers earlier in the year. She's a physician assistant student in her last year. She tells me she's really enjoying what she's doing. Do you want to say a few words, Kimberly? You don't have
I'm
to.
sorry, I'm stuffing my face. I didn't eat all morning from rounds. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Anyway, we welcome you, and thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
Great. And let's just go around the room just briefly, and everyone can introduce who they are. I know we've done this before, but I think it's always helpful to, if you would start, Dr. Williams.
Skip Williams, President.
Carlos Potts, Dean of the College of Medicine.
Johnson Pelham, medical student.
Dr. Constance James, alumni representative.
Ellen Watson, Institutional Advancement.
Dorothy Fife, Planning.
Philip Bromwitz, I'm with the Jewish Community Relations Council, which is an umbrella organization for all major Jewish organizations in New York.
Gary Sklar, former faculty member.
Tony Jones, interim CEO, hospital CEO.
Kim Lawton, PA student.
Mike French, Chief Instruction Officer with Kids Management.
Michael Harrell, Community and Government Relations.
Dr. Williams, if you would provide us with your report.
Sure. Just a couple of things. We were privileged to have the SUNY Board of Trustees meeting here at Downstate in August, which turned out to be very enlightening for the board. Many of them have never been to Downstate and have sat on the SUNY board for a decade or more. So it was pretty eye-opening for them. I think they were very impressed. I think they finally, for the first time, some of them got the fact that we have been so undercapitalized for so many years. And the parking garage is a perfect example, where we have 3 floors of that garage closed for structural reasons. And if it were up to me, I would close the whole thing, because that's the one thing that keeps me awake at night, and we have had some minor collapses already. That was very helpful to get that point across, because what we really need that board to do is to advocate for us to the governor's office, to the legislature, about the true needs that we have here at SUNY Downstate and the other institutions as well. It's a little bit difficult because we are one of 4 and only 3 of the medical centers have hospitals. And so when you have a system of 64 campuses, we frequently are not really understood. So this was a really eye-opening meeting, and I think everybody did an excellent job, and I really appreciate that. As a result of that, we've had increased engagement with the Dormitory Authority for the state of New York, as well as the Construction Fund, and they have hired a couple of firms to do the initial assessment and drawings for a new parking garage. So we're hoping to get that moving fairly quickly. I did want to share with you, and I'll send this around in case you did not see these announcements. There's a few more. That we have been very pleased to announce the fact that we now have a new dean of the College of Health-Related Professions. Dr. Alan Lewis will be joining us from Virginia, and he will officially start January 1st, but he'll be coming back and forth over the next couple of months in a transition. And I personally want to thank Dr. Margaret Kaplan for the outstanding job that she's done in the interim position. And she is going to be taking on some different assignments, both through the President's office and through CHIRP, as we continue to grow that program. The second is William Walsh, Bill Walsh, who will be taking over for Mr. Jones in a permanent capacity. He will be a state employee as Senior Vice President for Hospital Affairs and Managing Director of University Hospital. And he starts next week. So we're very excited. He has over 30 years experience with HHC. He's been a troubleshooter. Whenever they've had real problems at various hospitals, including Jacobi, he was the person that they went to. He built a new hospital at Jacobi, and we all know that's a very, very fine institution now. He's very excited about coming here and working with us. And because of our now closer, much closer relationship with Kings County Hospital, I think this is going to be an excellent fit for us. We do have another major search that's going on right now. Korn Ferry is leading the effort for Senior Vice President for Research, and that will really solidify the top-tier administrative positions throughout the university. Dr. Patu is going to be very helpful there. He knows a lot of people at the NIH, his previous place of faculty appointment, and we think we're going to get some really excellent candidates. I've seen a preliminary list of some of them, and we got some real all-stars from around the country that really want to be here. So we're very excited about that. Just to remind everybody, we have Middle States coming up next March, so we're working very hard on that. Unfortunately, the person who was to be the chair of the committee has to step down because she's just been hired by UAlbany, and we can't have a sister institution doing an accreditation visit to our institution. So they're in the process of naming a new person. Dr. Schweitzer, who was to be the chair, was due to be here in October, so I need to see what the new schedule is for the new chair to visit. They may push back our visit a couple of months or so. But we feel very good as to where we are. I want to thank Dorothy, Joanne Bradley, Jeff Putnam, Ellen, for doing a superb job of putting all of this together. This has been an 18, 19-month effort so far, and it continues.
17 last year it started.
Here we go. And just to give everybody just a quick update on DISRIP, we are working very, very closely with HHC. We are doing a joint recruitment for a chair of neurosurgery and to create a brand new department of neurosurgery, which we believe is critical for our educational purposes and for our community. Right now, Kings County is pretty overburdened. They have to go to locums in order to do the coverage. But if we have one joint department working together, then the barrier of across the street disappears. So that relationship continues to get stronger and stronger, and we will keep you apprised of all of the things that are going on between Kings County and us. We also are working with Coney Island and we'll be working with Woodhull as well. So we're going to be a part of a really an integrated system, and we're looking forward to that. And Madam Chair, that is my report, unless there are any questions.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions? Okay.
Yes, let me ask a question. I read the other day that one of the counsels to the governor had the misfortune to be shot, and he's in Kings County Hospital, and the governor visited him there. Has the governor been able to visit the State University Hospital?
No, and he has a standing invitation, I can tell you that. We did have last week, Tony, you might want to tell who came.
Well, we actually thought it was a great honor. We had a visit from Dr. Howard Zucker, and he is the Commissioner, Secretary of Health and Human Services for the state of New York. And we also had Paul Francis to join as well, who is the Deputy Commissioner, Deputy Secretary for the Department of Health as well. It was a great meeting in terms of when they came on board. They were here for probably a total of about 3.5 hours on Friday afternoon.
And the governor was scheduled to come as well, but as you know, his partner has had some difficulty with her surgery. So these are the two highest people in the health department, and they spent a good amount of time here with us.
It was a great discussion about SUNY and about the community, Brooklyn community in terms of healthcare. And a lot of exchange of information. They were very inquisitive, asked a lot of fantastic questions as well.
Presentation. And before you do, let me just say that we're happy we're getting a new CEO, but we're very sorry to be losing you because you've been absolutely wonderful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, Madam Chair. Thank you very much. It's been a great honor. Ready? You gotta go through the work I have to.
Yeah, there's that's it. And your version has been loaded.
Let's do this if we could. I'll go through quickly. If you have questions at the end, I'll be happy to answer anything that you have. I just wanted to go back and as we go through this discussion, if you want to revisit something that's extremely important. As the hospital moves forward, the campus moves forward, it's extremely important that the hospital continue to have a rudder, if you will. And this is a rudder that we developed over the last probably 4 or 5 months under the leadership of Dr. Williams in terms of looking at the institution where it should go. This may change as you move forward and things continue to evolve. But right now, there's a working framework and market focus for the organization that we want to talk about. Dr. Williams just touched upon the key staffing opportunities that we have here, and we're extremely excited about that. We'll move quickly into the financial and statistical update and take any questions you have there. We'll try not to delve into too much detail, but if you have questions, I actually brought several of the reports and we can go into as much detail as we'd like. We'll talk about the clinical service lines right quickly, and the facility project updates, and then overall, anything related to the presentation that you might have, we'd be happy to answer that as well. Now, I'm hoping that you'll remember this continuously as you look at the hospital and as you look at the campus. Because again, the hospital's long-term success is to start to feel comfortable with its role as a part of an integrated enterprise. It's a single entity. And one of the greatest strengths of the hospital, for example, it's the only hospital in Brooklyn that has a medical school on campus and all of the different schools on campus. That is very unique. And those are the types of things that should be exploited. And for it to meet its full potential, it really does have to link in with Dr. Williams and the Office of the President and Dean of the Medical School and all of the other schools in terms of being successful. So we just wanted to stress that if we could. We'll continue to stress that as we move forward. Last time we talked about being market focused. Don't want to go through all of the details, but there were about 7 areas in terms of being market focused that we wanted to talk about. Partner of choice for the organization, practice site of choice for the doctors, employer of choice for the employees. We need a great place for them to work, and so forth and so on. Hospital of choice for the patients right here. Educational institution of choice, which quite frankly it is an educational institution of choice, but don't take it for granted just because you're maybe one within the Brooklyn Borough. And then lastly is the pursuit of the population health management initiatives, which are extremely important. And I had a number of discussions with Dr. Williams about the population health management initiatives that are going on right now. He just talked about the major ones in Brooklyn when he was talking about district just a moment ago. Extremely important. Dr. Williams already mentioned the Senior Vice President of Hospital Affairs, and that's Bill Walsh. You have his bio right in front of you. And also he mentioned CHIRP. I just wanted to go back and mention that one as well. Extremely excited to have those kind of leaders come on board. But we've had also, we've been able to recruit others. We've got a new Assistant Vice President of Ambulatory Care, a new Assistant Vice President for Hospital Finance. These two gentlemen just started probably about 2 to 4 weeks ago, so they're brand spanking new as the old saying goes. And we are extremely close right now in terms of having the person come on board. An offer has been made and been accepted for the hospital clinical practice physician compensation person. The data analyst is on board. They joined us about 3 weeks ago. Happy to say that. And also the perioperative person is on board as well and doing a fantastic job. They've been on board probably for about maybe a month and a half or something like that, and doing a super job. So the only one that is outstanding right now on that key list of hires is actually the Assistant Vice President for Managed Care, in which the interview is already being scheduled for that position as well. And we have a search firm that is actually helping us with that one as well. So we expect excellent candidates for that. Now, this is a test, this is an eyesight test. I just failed. Right. I failed and I'm right up here. So, but let me see if I can read you something. This is basically a snapshot from the financial statements. And just some of the key indicators over here I'll point out to you. The admissions at the top, and these columns right here, this is actual for the month of July 2015, which we just went through, compared to the month a year ago of July 2014. And so these are just variance columns over here. But here are some of the key measurements in terms of activities that some of you actually asked me about this morning. A key one here is admissions. For the month of July, we had 256 admissions. And if you look at July a year ago, we had 1,138 admissions. So our admissions this month, 2015, compared to a year ago for the month, is actually up 118, which is good. Discharges, 1,258 for the month of July, 1,158 for the month of July 2014. What that basically means is that the organization is starting to stabilize. For the last couple of years, it's sort of like the volume is kind of going down, and we were trying to get the restructuring done and trying to get a hold of the organization, so to speak. So a lot of this is due to Dr. Williams' efforts over the last 3 years when he came on board to try and take the hospital and all the different schools and try and place them in the right place. But I think if you look at the position of the hospital, definitely over the last 3 or 4 months, but it's been trending that way for a while. The volume has stopped declining. It is actually, sometimes it's flatlined, but this is an indication that it's actually starting to grow again, which is a good thing. So if you look at the discharges, it's up by 100 over the prior period a year ago. If you look at the average daily census, it's 233, and I was just talking about the average daily census just a moment ago, and a year ago it was 217. Now in that 217 a year ago, they also had psych services in there, which is actually, it's closed in the last 5 or 6 months, and it's still up to 233, so that's a plus, if you will, in terms of the organization and where we stand. Deliveries, the OB deliveries, they're actually up. This 2015 compared to 2014 is 130 for the most recent month, and a year ago it was at 106. So it's actually starting to trend up as well. All good things. And cardiac catheterizations are also up. We have a new, if you'll recall at the last meeting, I talked about some of the new leadership, clinical leadership that we're putting in place on the medical school side as well as the hospital. And one of the areas where we're starting to pay major dividends is actually in the cardiology area. Our cardiovascular business is up dramatically, especially in the cardiac cath area. So we think that that's a real plus for us. And there's a young gentleman in there by the name of Dr. Marmer, who is outstanding. I can't say enough good things about it. He is a new leader for the program, and he's been there probably about 2 or 3 months now, doing a wonderful job for us. So if I go down, and you can basically see a lot of the different...
Dr. Watkins, you want to mute your phone?
I'm sorry.
Would you mute your phone because we're getting background noise?
Okay, thank you.
Last thing I'll point out here is actually right here. It's this indicator is paid FTEs for adjusted occupied bed. Long term, but basically it means the number of employees that you staff on average per patient. What I wanted to point out here was there we go.
He turned it off by mistake. He really muted it.
The last thing I wanted to point out was it's actually a positive. I'm extremely happy to see this as well. If you look at the FTEs for adjusted occupied bed in July 2015, this is a common indicator in the industry, in the hospital industry across the country. It says 5.01. And previously, a year ago, it was 5.62. Now, the positive thing about this particular indicator going from 5.6 over to 5.0 essentially is that it shows that there's been an increase in productivity. The productivity has actually risen in the hospital by almost 11% this year compared to same period last year. So that's a plus. It kind of goes under the radar screen, but from an operating standpoint, that shows that the managers have become very focused in terms of what they're doing. And this is something Dr. Williams has been put in front of us almost every day to make sure we pay attention to it.
Pat Winston can tell you we've done a lot of work in nursing.
Absolutely.
I think we see a much happier group of nurses, and they multitask now.
Absolutely.
So they're not stuck in just one place. So that is, as census shifts, they can be moved to different areas, and that'll help us to recruit and retain.
Absolutely. And as the hospital becomes a quote-unquote great place to work, morale goes up, productivity goes up.
I totally agree. A happy employee is a productive employee.
Yes.
And working to the hours and like everybody else is.
They will. Yeah, absolutely will.
Is that the same kind of indicator as length of stay?
It's a little bit different than length of stay. Length of stay is actually right here, and length of stay has gone down this year compared to last year. Last year it was at 5.8, and this year it's at 5.74, so it's slightly down. It is high. That's an area we still need to work on.
I know it's always been.
Right. And it's honestly, look at the borough of Brooklyn. It's high. It's high. Yeah. Brooklyn has a lot to do with the environment, the culture, socio-demographic.
We have a lot of permanent residents.
We do. We absolutely do.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to make a comment
Sure.
regarding your census. The good news is because baby boomers are aging, it's going to keep going up.
It
As
probably
with the
will.
comorbidity,
Yeah.
etc.
Yes.
The only time you're going to see this, but this is maybe past our time, after 2029, you're going to see a decrease
Really?
because the baby boomer, that's when they stop, the baby boomer stops like aging, you get the next generation of people. So for now, business-wise, it looks good.
Yeah, it actually does. And we're extremely happy to be able to serve the community in that vein. We are.
This is the reality of life. The market's going to shrink after 2029, I think.
It's because we'll be dying off.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I didn't want to say it, but that's exactly what I was thinking. Somebody's about to go.
No, but a couple of decades later, there was an increase in census and birth, so you'll see that up, but that's like past our time.
It is.
And I actually think Dorothy probably knows this better than me, but I think that this specific zip code has one of the highest birth rates in the borough. So we're covered on that end also.
Yes.
The area of young people and older people. But now it's changing to hipster people, so they're in between.
So we have to be aware of the market so we know, to be
sure.
ready and respond to it as, I like being ready and going parallel with what the market is changing in order to capture it instead of letting somebody else capture it.
As long as those old people aren't us.
Good luck on that one.
Started with yours truly. On the clinical services side, we talked about the clinical programs. If you recall from the last meeting, the senior leadership team of the hospital has gone back and worked with the Office of the President to focus on certain clinical services, high priority services. So we came up with a list of 10 clinical programs that we wanted to focus on and provide as many resources as we could. Keep in mind, all clinical programs are a priority. These have to be a super priority. And the one at the top is the one that Dr. Williams just mentioned about 5 to 10 minutes ago on neurosurgery in terms of discussions there. The cancer program, Dr. Shapiro is doing an outstanding job. I have to say that she's a new recruit. She's probably been on board maybe 6 to 8 weeks now. But she's already working on a business plan that we'll sit down with, a preliminary one, and go over next week and look at the framework for that. Orthopedics is still coming along. They have probably 2 to 3 new docs that are coming into the system now. And, shoulder, hand, sports, all that kind of stuff in terms of the orthopedic surgeons that are coming on board. The digestive disease, that's a tongue tire for me personally. But anyway, the GI group, there's 2 new docs that will definitely be here real soon as well for them. And then cardiovascular services, I was just telling you about them with the cardiac cath and the new interim director for cardiology services. And on the cardiac cath, I just wanted to mention that volume I was talking about earlier, up 42%. Yeah. Just a couple of quick things. We had talked about at the last meeting on facilities, and I wanted to let you know that we haven't lost sight of them. We have a long list in terms of facility priorities. If I remember correctly, we've got about 20 top facility priorities that we're working on. Just wanted to bring back these 3. The operating room was a major project that we undertook. And I personally thank Pat Winston, our COO, and her team. They did a fabulous job in terms of working for quite a while with only half of the OR suites open. And the construction crew was in there working right beside them. Everything turned out well. It looks really nice. And my hat's off to Pat and the team. They did a fabulous job. The renovation of the pediatric unit is still continuing. As of yesterday, we moved the patients over to what we call like an interim place. It's like a step-down unit, if you will. Now we're going to go in and actually do the heavy lifting on the ICU. It will take probably about 12 to 14 months more to complete that project, but keep in mind it's a $3.6 million project, so it's not a small project at all in terms of the ICU. And someone here had mentioned the Physicians Lounge at the last meeting, and I definitely wanted to let you know that we still have that on our radar screen, and we've got several areas that we've already targeted in terms of looking at Physicians Lounge as well. IT, very quickly, the top priorities are ICD-10, meaningful use, and then we say the other 19 projects because these 2 right now are the most important projects that we'll work on for the next month or so in terms of ICD-10. ICD-10 is basically where we're changing the billing systems. Every hospital in the country is required by October 1st to change their billing codes over the billing system. We're going to go from probably about 17,000 clinical billing codes up to 175,000 billing codes. So it's going to be almost a tenfold, actually a tenfold jump in billing codes and all that kind of stuff. All the computers, you have to go back and actually restructure them, refit them, retrofit them, and all that kind of stuff. Overhauling to accommodate these new additional 160,000 codes that are required by CMS, which is Medicare. On the meaningful use side, we're continuing there. I'm happy to say that we look pretty good. Don't want to get too excited, but it looks like on the meaningful use side, we're going to all the requirements that the federal government has for the hospital related to the electronic health records and preparing them to be, meaningful use ready. The implication of this is actually $6 million on the table. If we get this completed, the medical center gets $6 million additional dollars on the table. So, and if we don't, we don't get the $6 million. But we're very close, and we're extremely happy with the performance. This is under the leadership of John D., our CIO, and he's done a fantastic job, along with the rest of the team, the hospital team, and the campus team in terms of getting us compliant with meaningful use. I think we're near the end here. We are. So I'll be happy to take any questions with regards to anything that we've presented today. Questions whatsoever. So if not, thank you for the presentation. Thank you.
Okay, so it looks like we don't have any questions about what's the status of our hospital. And we're going to move on. The last thing on the agenda is to discuss the ACT conference. Oh, Dr. Patu, I'm sorry.
No, thank you.
Just a couple of updates from
Just
College of Medicine.
a few quick updates. First of all, the last 2 months have been a rapid learning experience. There's an extraordinary group of people here and very interested and willing to approach the challenges. I did want to announce that as we've been reviewing the strengths in our research program and how we are going to meet challenges to really establish a role, a leading role for Downstate in the field of scientific research. Defining what we can excel at becomes the critical aspect. And I think Dr. Williams and I share a perspective that the community we serve, our people, are our greatest responsibility and simultaneously our greatest asset. And so we're going to be looking at ways to collaborate with the public health school very intensely, as well as the other schools, in terms of ways to structure focuses on population health and clinical translational research. I will say that the conversations have been very, very helpful. Two brief announcements. There's a state-based EPIP awards that have just been announced, and we've been the recipient of one of the centers. That'll be $1.2 million over the next 2 years. And because it's somewhat enjoyable to toot our own horns, that's a disclaimer. My wife, Michelle Patu, and I have received 2 awards from NIH. Hers, I'm actually on hers as well, will be for a total of about $15 million, $10 million of which will be awarded to Downstate directly. And she clearly did a vastly better job of keeping things on campus than I did with the study that I'm leading, that she's on. We will be doing a $16 million sequencing project over the next 5 years. But our piece, since the sequencing will be done at the Broad in Cambridge, is around $800,000 over those years to manage the project. So
you tell me what the study is?
the studies are extraordinarily exciting. So there is, our work has been to create a cohort of patients that partner with us in terms of understanding the genomics of serious illness. The group currently,
And wellness.
and much more, and health. One of the distinguishing features of this cohort is that they've agreed to the study of human genomics, not the study of the genetics of risk of an illness. Some of them are defined because they unfortunately suffer with an illness, but what they are primarily are people. Many are defined because they don't suffer with that particular illness, so they are quote-unquote controls for that, but they do suffer with cancer and other things. But we are looking at both. This has been a focus of Michelle in creating the Institute for Genomic Health that I agree with completely, which is that we need to understand the genomics of risk as well as the genomics of resilience. What promotes health and resistance to being susceptible to things that we carry risks for. So the current cohort is about 30,000 people, nationwide primarily, but also international. And the new focus is actually on a tremendously important underserved population. So the new grant that she is leading with me is focused on African ancestry population, where very little work has been done. It is tremendously valuable in terms of understanding how we deal with risk and resilience patterns within that population, a population that we're devoted to serving. But beyond that, it actually scientifically is tremendously important because it's actually understanding the genomic patterns in a variety of populations that are giving us much greater insights than things that are focused just on one. So there's strength to some of these very homogeneous studies, but tremendous strength to the study of population in general and the comparisons. So this is very exciting. I think this is a testament to NIH's understanding of the population we serve and how important this will be, and hopefully will help along with the other types of things that are being built here to really provide a unique role for Downstate in the fabric of the work that's being done really at the cutting edge. I do, having now focused very much, too much on what we're doing, but obviously I'm very excited about it. I do want to announce that some of the people that have really held the place together, especially Dr. Sass, who was a wonderful interim dean, has really, she and I have partnered together very closely, and she has agreed to take on 2 critical roles. And one of them is as the Vice Dean for Academic Affairs, which I think promotes continuity and gives me a much greater depth of understanding of what's going on. But also importantly, she will be the new chair for family medicine, which is a critical part and hopefully a leading edge of advancing primary care as a critical aspect of both the educational mission and our service mission. So this is the beginning, I think, of a series of evolutions of how we've structured medical education and service delivery as a medical center that is in the process of integrating with a system-based approach to treating our population.
And Dr. Vincent will be joining my office as Vice President for Innovation, and particularly she will be the lead physician for district representing Downstate with HHC, and she is extremely excited about doing this.
Is this,
Just a question. First, as a person and healthcare provider, this university studies is wonderful. I'm just wondering, is this part of President Obama's precision medicine that you mentioned?
These are not, but his announcement about precision medicine, I think, will provide us with opportunities to go after even more funding. So I'm delighted.
Yeah, particularly in partnership with the other colleges and schools, and in particular public health.
do you think that this has the possibility to become a new Framingham study on that sort of broad importance?
So a key element is that 88% of the people who are part of the study have agreed to ongoing follow-up. And so they are engaged, we developed a structure for being able to work with the electronic health records to retrieve health events throughout their lifespan of the participants. The implementation is still a struggle because everyone has different health records and people can't get everywhere. But we are certainly heading in that direction. That's the goal. This will greatly help in hopefully our leadership of the project. But it's been a tremendous opportunity and one that we're going to.
And the partnership with HHC really becomes important because of the huge cohort of patients that they actually see. And what he and Michelle are doing by looking at different population groups, as they did Latino, Latina in California, now it's African American, hopefully we go into Asian Americans, and so forth. And you can see the implication that this could be phenomenally huge. So we're extremely excited about it.
I do want to just share with you one fact that I picked up that I wasn't aware of when we were putting together material for the middle stage. We are actually one of the strongest centers in the country in terms of recruiting Asian American students, Asian students to Downstate. We're one of the top 10 centers in attracting Asian students. So I think that's a point we should also look at. In addition to African American students. In addition to many students that are broad diversity. Yes. Does anyone else have any comments or reports they'd like to make? Okay. So the last thing is I sent all the council members a notice about the ACT conference, which stands for the American College of Trustees. It's the umbrella organization for SUNY Council from the 64 campuses across SUNY. This is their annual conference. This year the focus is going to be on council members working with the philanthropy processes in their colleges to look at, while the council is not charged with being a fundraising organization for the campuses, many council members across SUNY do help their campuses with fundraising efforts. So that's going to be one of the focuses that they look at in this upcoming conference, as well as also looking at the governance role that SUNY councils play within the SUNY system. So if anyone would like to go, please let me know, and we'll handle arrangements. And like Don said, you're interested in coming, and Dr. Zabala, you're interested in coming.
And we do a couple of those.
Does anyone have any other things that they would like to bring up? Okay, I think with that, we can do, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Welcome aboard, Jim.